This is Heidi Heitkamp. She was the Attorney General of North Dakota in the 90s and won a big upset victory in 2012 to become a Democratic senator. She was a talented politician with legendary campaign ads and a moderate reputation. But all that couldn't save her in 2018, when she lost re-election. In the years after, Heitkamp has appeared as a commentator on political shows, often as an authority on rural America with populist credibility. Here's Heitkamp in April 2021 defending President Biden's proposal to tax inherited wealth assets, which would essentially hit the fortunes of the nation's richest.
And this is one of the biggest scams in the history of forever on income redistribution. You know that there needs to be reform in unearned income. And so to demonize it and say it's going to hurt the little guy, that just is not factual, Chris.
But then a funny thing happened. As corporations and outside interests launched a frenzied lobbying push to block Biden's proposed tax increases, including on inherited wealth, Heitkamp went on TV and said literally the complete opposite.
I'm trying to sound the alarm, both economically and politically for Democrats, that this is not a path to walk. The disruption that this would create for small family businesses and for farmers and for family assets is just not worth the pain.
Why? Well, in between April and September, something else happened too. Something that doesn't get mentioned when she's introduced on ABC or CNBC. Heitkamp became the head of a dark money lobbying group. Now, this is not to single out Heitkamp or anyone in particular. The entire reason this matters is because she is not unique. By her own description, Heitkamp was recruited to help kill the tax plan by another former senator turned lobbyist. Which makes sense, because in recent years, America's ex-senators have been cashing in. Since 2010, 74 senators have retired, resigned, or been defeated. And of those, at least 26 have entered the wonderful world of lobbying, meaning that in the past decade, 34% of departing senators have walked out of the Capitol, turned the corner, and grabbed a check to influence the very building that they just walked out of. And that's up from previous decades. According to the Washington Post, only 20% of senators became lobbyists between 1992 and 2014. Oh, and 2 of those now lobbyists were once chairs of the Senate Ethics Committee, which exists in part to police relationships between, lobbyists and lawmakers. Now, some have found ways around the actual title of lobbyist, partly for reputation and partly because federal law bans official lobbying for 2 years after you retire. So they're hired as consultants or advisors by firms that do lobbying. But let's be real, ex-senators are expensive and firms don't hire them accidentally. In the words of Lawrence Lessig, an outspoken democracy reform advocate, to anyone else in the world, when you sell your influence to affect business and governmental affairs, you are a lobbyist. Open Secrets, a watchdog group, calls these people shadow lobbyists. And the work is almost indistinguishable. Take Max Baucus, a former senator from Montana who was renowned for churning lobbyists out from his office and inviting them in, often letting them help shape legislation he oversaw, like Obamacare, which became much more friendly to drug companies after their lobbyists met with his office. Now, he has a firm that does consulting, cloaking their work in corporate jargon like strategic advisory. But he's been doing the exact same thing as Heitkamp, lobbying against taxing inherited income. Again, this isn't to pick on any one person. America is unique among industrialized countries in the ways it allows money to corrupt and influence, not just our institutions, but individual people. It's a bipartisan problem, and Americans know it. The polling shows it. We have clear-cut examples of it actually affecting public policy, like in 2011, when a lobbying blitz heavily weakened Obama administration rules cracking down on scam for-profit colleges. And this is not to endorse any of Biden's agenda. His plans, and those of any president, ought to rise and fall on their own merits. But the function of the modern-day senator-lobbyist revolving door is to ensure that they don't, that they live and die on rich people's terms. And, increasingly, you can probably find an ex-senator willing to help with that, for a healthy fee.